Well, hey, happy Thanksgiving from Janet and myself. We do want to say, I hope you've had a great Thanksgiving day. I know for many of you right now, it's kind of in the evening time. You probably are done with your meal, put everything aside, got the dishes cleared off. Maybe you're already going back for some seconds, trying to find that extra piece of pie. Maybe playing some table games, got a puzzle going on, got a football game you're watching, combination of all three, or maybe you're just shooting a video. Who knows what you're doing? But hey, again, I want to say happy Thanksgiving. Got a quick family story for you because after all, today is all about family. For many of you, you've been having a wonderful day packed with tons of family members all around. And for many of you, maybe just be like us. We had a very low-key time together. It was just my oldest son, Rich, my wife, and myself. Ryan's kind of, on a honeymoon right now with Annie, and Jenna Bear and Brian are up in Richmond with his family. So for us, it was a low-key day, but it was still family. Wow. When you think about family again, I want to share with you a really, really cool story. It goes like this. All right. It actually has to do with these people here. You see, let me go over here. These people here, those are my peeps. All right. So I got William Bradford. That's my 11th grade grandpa. I got William Brewster. That's my 11th grade grandpa through my dad's side. Bradford through my mom's side. I got all these books. I've read all of them probably once or if not twice. Okay. I am that guy. And if you know me, and a lot of you do, you mention history, you know I'm gone. All right. Gettysburg, Williamsburg, Yorktown, you name it. Family history. I'm all over it. But here's the really cool story. It goes about my William Bradford, my 11th grade gramps, through my mom's side. As I began to read a lot of these books and research online, I found this to be this crazy and actually cool ministry story. 1590, Bradford's born. At the age of 1, his dad passes away. What's he going to do? 3 years later, his mom remarries. So here we go. He's 1, dad dies. He's 4, mom remarries, and the stepdad and her send him off to live with his grandfather, William Bradforth. For those of you who are technical, went by Bradforth. So here we go. 2 years later, Grandpa William dies. So now he's 6. He's sent back to live with his mom. But then she dies within the next year. So by the time he's 7, his dad dies, his grandpa dies, mom had remarried, she didn't want him around, right? Then he gets back to her, she passes away. Stepdad doesn't want him. He's sent off to live with 2 uncles. He's legally declared an orphan. So by the age of 7, this young man is now living with 2 uncles on a farm. It is during that time he actually begins to read, and he loves reading the most sacred of all books, the Word of God. That is his go-to book. He also is introduced to a lot of the classics, so he loves reading. He's really a self-made learner, if you will. Speed forward a few years later, at the age of 12, he is actually introduced to a church, not the Church of England. Remember, King James had just become king in 1603, and he decided to squelch any dissenters that did not sign off on him as the Lord of the church and his church, the Church of England. These people, the separatists, were illegally meeting in a home. And at the age of 12, he wants to go hang out with them and hear the Word of God taught in its purest form. He's introduced to a man named William Brewster. William Brewster actually gives him a lot of books to read, scriptures and other biblically sound books. He's growing in his new walk with Jesus Christ. We call that discipleship. So this is so cool for me because I'm thinking, okay, Bradford, that's my gramps through my dad's side, right? And my mom's side, and Brewster is my gramps through my dad's side. Whoa, this is insane. So here he is, a teenager, living actually now with the Brewsters. And it's time that they realize, these separatists, we've got to get out of here. King James had brought not only financial persecution, let's say emotional distress, but much more important, he brought hardcore physical persecution. So slowly and quietly, they began to leave England and go over to Holland, to a place called Leiden, Holland. About 10 years or so later, they realized, we're not Dutch, we're English. They cut a deal, my words, this is how I put it. They cut a deal with a businessman in England, and they get back to England and quietly, under the quietness of night, if you will, get into 2 ships. The one drops out, they both cram into now the Mayflower. And you know that story. December 20th, 1620, they land right there in the Cape Cod area. And while on that ship, that small ship, for the next few months, over half of that original 100+ people begin to die off, some 2 and 3 a day. It was during that time that this early 30-year-old is being seen as a leader of this group. Within those first few months, their own Governor Carver, who's actually in this picture here, Governor Carver had passed away. As a 31-year-old, the people, the rest of those less than 50 now, turn to this young man and elect him to be their governor. And this is a crazy story, which I think is just amazing. Let's step back again. At the age of 12, he is seeking God's truth. He actually winds up in a church teaching the Word of God, where they embrace him. And he shares about this in his journal here. What they do is that church doesn't see themselves as a family church. You know, the church that's only about the little families. They don't see themselves as a family church. They're committed to being a church family, where they will take in the widows and the orphans. And they actually made him feel like a part of them. That is a cool leadership and a cool storyline when it comes to Next Gen Matters. Taking in those who don't have Christian families, and we will become family to you. Think about this too at the age of 17, what's going on in his life. Now being discipled by this Christian leader, one generation to the next discipling him. By the time he's in his early 30s, and they are now dying off in a strange new land, they turn to him to be their leader. So church, think about that. The teenager that you reach out to and you minister to, God may actually use in your life down the road to actually help preserve and protect your own life. You don't know how it's all going to go down, but we do know this, that one generation to the next, who will then teach it to another generation, the generation yet to be born. When I think about that, out of Psalm 78, that's my story. You see, again, I was one of those yet to be born that both Bradford and Brewster poured themselves into, the people yet to be born through the generations of reaching out. So that is my story. What's your story? Is Jesus Christ really the center of your life? If so, create the culture of the gospel around you. Bring in those students who need Jesus Christ. They matter to God. And let's see ourselves being so impactful for the gospel's sake. You guys have a great Thanksgiving.